Good evening, listeners. I am Dr. Swagata Basu. I want to share with you my thoughts on gender and feminism in cinema and literature this evening. It is 2025, and one imagines that by now the world has made so much of scientific advancement and progress that humanity has left behind types of injustices, biases, violence, and inequality. Why is there any need to understand gender and feminism and talk about women's rights? Many people find feminism to be problematic and think of gender as something made up by feminists. I would therefore like to clarify what do I mean by these two terms and why they are not what some people often assume them to be. Let's start with gender. When you have to fill a form for any purpose and provide your personal details, there is a column of gender. Usually, the options provided are male and female. This categorization of all people into either male or female is based on their biological sex, which is in turn determined by reproductive organs one is born with. However, in gender studies and feminist theory, it is highlighted that the distinction between male and female or man and woman is not just the biological difference. The concept of a man and a woman is shaped by society, by behaviors that are considered normal, appropriate, and acceptable for each of the categories. As Judith Butler states, gender is a performance. One is not born a woman but becomes one. As boys and girls grow up through socialization, they are constantly shaped as a man or a woman by society. Gender is thus considered to be a socially constructed phenomena, not a natural one. Let me now discuss what is feminism. Who are feminists? Are they women who hate or dislike men? Are they people who do not want women to get married and have children? Do they want to dismantle society, which is structured around the family unit? Absolutely not. None of these is feminism, even though those who oppose feminism claim so. Feminism is a belief system that views women and men as equals and recognizes the constructed nature of gender. It is also a socio-political movement that advocates for and demands rights, laws, and justice to ensure that the equality of men and women is practiced in society. Feminism views gender as socially constructed and opposes the sociocultural norms, views, traditions, beliefs, and ways of thinking that restrict, control, and demean women. We cannot understand feminism unless we understand what is patriarchy. Patriarchy is the belief system that does not agree that women and men are equal. Instead, it thinks of men as superior to women. Feminism is obviously a rejection of patriarchy because not only women are restricted and controlled by patriarchy, patriarchy impacts men negatively as well. This is the important, crucial point that most people miss out. Patriarchy is harmful for both men and women. Let's take a pause and think the answers to the following questions. Have you ever heard the phrase, be a man, don't behave like a woman? Have you heard people say casually that, girls can't drive? Or girls should not be out on the streets at night? Or this is a man's job? Have you ever seen a female ticket collector in a train, a woman driving a truck, a bus, or a cab around you? Think about advertisements. When a washing powder is advertised on TV, who is shown using it? What about cooking oil, breakfast cereal? And now think about ads for cars, bikes. Who is usually driving those? What about cosmetics? Have you ever seen skin lightening cream or body hair removal products targeted to men? What about our fitness equipment? Think about these. I will wait. I hope it is evident that in the world we live in, it has already been decided that some things are meant for women. They can be objects, activities, behaviors that are considered feminine. Things like doing the laundry, cooking a meal for the family, using cosmetics to enhance one's physical beauty. In contrast, going for a long drive, being adventurous, taking risks, increasing one's strength are considered masculine. If we observe all the images and stories that circulate around us, we find that there are several binaries, a set of opposite concepts that are associated with men and women. For example, being emotional, creative, sensitive, caring, nurturing is seen as feminine, and being logical, brave, adventurous, spontaneous is considered masculine. Feminists ask us to see how flawed and restrictive these dichotomies or binary oppositions are. Aren't there men who would like to cook for their family or enhance their physical appearance? Aren't there women who like to ride bikes or drive cars? Patriarchy and traditional systems put everyone in fixed gender categories and denies the existence of complex individualities. If you're a man, you are mocked at for being sensitive. If you're a woman, you're criticized for being too adventurous. Women are expected to play the roles of mothers, wives, and remain in the domestic sphere, while men are expected to provide and protect their families, financially primarily. This is how patriarchy harms women as much as men. If a man wishes to be a stay-at-home dad and care for the children, while his wife is happy to work and earn the bread for the family, society would find them both to be problematic. Feminism frees everyone from such fixed gender roles. Feminism allows people to embrace their individual complexity and the full range of emotions and behaviors that seem natural and right to them. Feminism opposes the control of individuals based on their biological sex. Now, let us see what is the role of cinema and literature in all this. Images and stories found in literature and cinema have a huge impact on the imagination of people in a society regarding the roles and features of men, women, young, old, rich, poor, etc. The renowned writer and historian Yuval Noah Harari, in his book *Sapiens: A Brief History of Humankind*, has shown that human society is based on stories that are collectively believed in. In his latest book, *Nexus*, he uses the term intersubject reality. Intersubjective reality is made up of shared beliefs, understandings, and social constructs that exist because a group of people collectively agree on them and act as if they are real. Thus, in a patriarchal society, if most people believe men are superior and should play a dominant role, while women should be controlled, or that men are logical and women are emotional and irrational, or that men are strong and women are weak, these stories and images created by a society may perpetuate these ideas, ensuring that they are assumed to be true, real, natural, and therefore unquestionable. How can these ideas be challenged then? I would argue that cinema and literature provide the space to pose such a challenge. Fiction, be it in films or books, have the power to be transgressive. Transgression is an act that goes against a law, rule, or code of conduct. Individuals are rarely empowered enough to break the laws, the accepted norms, and the prescribed codes of conduct in a society. Individuals in their day-to-day life cannot risk social rejection. Most people want to fit into a community and follow what they understand as the rules and codes that govern them, even if they find some of them unappealing. Fictional characters, on the other hand, in literature and in films have more freedom. They can break the pre-established patterns without the fear of social rejection. Literature allows readers to enter the minds of many characters, understand their perspectives, and empathize with them. A person breaking a rule in real life is going to meet with fixed consequences of the act. But a character in a film or a book gets a chance to convey the reasons behind their actions and perhaps get an acceptance or forgiveness instead of a harsh punishment. Cinema and literature can in this way change the point of view of its audience. But we must not forget that at the same time, rather than transgression, films and books normalize and perpetuate the status quo of a society as well. After all, even filmmakers and writers have a fear of social rejection. They would want most people to find their books and films palatable and popular. They try to make their characters relatable to the audience and readers. Cinema especially, being more of a commercial activity rather than just an intellectual activity, often represent the dominant views of society. The spectator, the person viewing the film, is assumed to be an average man, and the images in a film are meant to please the male gaze, a term coined by Laura Mulvey. The images that are circulated through films and stories impact our imagination. Who I can be as a woman. What can I aspire to become in life? What is okay for me to wear, think, feel, do? Who can I desire? How far can I pursue my desires? What would happen if I push the boundaries decided by society? The answers to these questions are often drawn from stories and images found in films and literary works. It is therefore no surprise that the custodians of a patriarchal society find representations of men and women who could be considered transgressive in cinema and literature problematic, and they often outrage over it. While scenes of crimes against women do not disturb the audience, female sexuality or agency often does. Feminist cinema and literature question the preconceived notions about gender roles and norms and create a space for alternative thinking. When male characters defy the assumed features of masculinity and female characters defy notions of femininity, they create in the real world a space for such defiance, transgression, rule breaking, or rebellion. They allow individuals who do not want to conform to dominant social norms to imagine an alternate reality. Even when they provoke outrage, such conversations are produced and are useful for society. Thanks for listening. Good night.